Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Dharma pujita kaitrovotra paramo nirmatsranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Purir Ishwaraha Sadyo Hide Avurudyate Tra Krite Bihi Susursabhistakshanat. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukamukad amrita dravya samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, verse number 49. Pitra Chanru Mato Raja Vasudevanu Modita Chakara Rajyam Dharmena Pitra Paitam Maham Vibhu. After this, the great religious king Maharaj Yudhisthira executed the royal power in the kingdom strictly according to the codes and royal principles approved by his uncle and confirmed by Lord Sri Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Maharaj Yudhisthira was not a mere tax collector. He was always conscious of his duty as a king, which is no less than that of a father or spiritual master. The king is to see to the welfare of the citizens from all angles of social, political, economic, and spiritual upliftment. The king must know that human life is meant for liberating the encaged soul from the bondage of material conditions, and therefore his duty is to see that the citizens are properly looked after to attain this highest stage of perfection. Maharaj Yudhisthira followed these principles strictly, as will be seen from the next chapter. Not only did he follow the principles, but he also got approval from his old uncle, who was experienced in political affairs, and that was also confirmed by Lord Krishna, the speaker of the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. Maharaja Yudhisthira is the ideal monarch, and monarchy under a trained king like Maharaja Yudhisthira is by far the most superior form of government, superior to modern republics or governments of the people by the people. The mass of people, especially in this age of Kali, are all born Sudras, basically low-born, ill-trained, unfortunate, and badly associated. They themselves do not know the highest perfectional aim of life. Therefore, votes cast by them actually have no value. And thus, persons elected by such irresponsible votes cannot be responsible representatives like Maharaj Yudhisthira. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Passing Away of Bhismadeva in the Presence of Lord Krishna. After this, the great religious king, Maharaj Yudhisthira, executed the royal power in the kingdom strictly according to the codes and royal principles approved by his uncle and confirmed by Lord Shri Krishna. Now, this proves that Bhisma Pitamaha is a Mahajan, because everything he taught Maharaj Yudhisthira was confirmed to be true and bona fide by Lord Shri Krishna. That's why Krishna was present. He wanted to see his devotee, Bhisma Pitamaha, glorified. And he was in every way certainly glorified. So without the Bhagavatam, we don't really have a way of validating for our own satisfaction the stories of the Mahabharata. Because Vyasadeva wrote the Mahabhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagvatam, and extracted those stories already in the Puranas, the Mahabharata, and the philosophy in the Vedanta Sutra, and amplified them by focusing by showing that they were actually all meant to lead to Krishna consciousness. That's why the Bhagavatam is so important. It is the Amala Purana. If there may be some mistakes or some misleading episodes in other previous literatures, not that they're wrong, but it's easy to misinterpret them, or it's easy to miss the actual intended purpose of them. When there's an overload of information, it's easy to miss the main point. And so he wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam and focused in every chapter, every verse, that Krishna is the goal of life. So there's no doubt about it. Right? And if we read Bhagavatam, we don't have any doubts in our mind. It's very difficult for most people to understand the Vedic literature because it's so vast. But if we focus on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we have the cream, the, let's say, quintessential realization of the truth propounded by the Vedas. You don't actually have to read all the Vedas. You simply read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why Vyasadeva put Bhagavad Gita in the Mahabharata, and later on wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam, so that people have a way of not being misled by overload of information, as found in the rest of the Vedic literatures. So here we see that Maharaj Yudhisthira was not a mere tax collector. Most politicians, they sit around, get constipated, and think about new ways of taxing the people. It's like, instead of taxing gasoline, overtaxing gasoline, now they're going to tax how many miles you drive your car. because there are too many electric cars now, so they can't get enough money by taxing the gas. And they've thought of a new way of taxing. They will monitor all the miles you drive. You see, and they want to eliminate cash money so that there's no more black money. There's only payments with credit cards, and so forth. They're doing so many things to find out how they can tax you more and more, and how to make you completely dependent on them. That is the problem with demon crazy. That's the way Prabhupada described democracy, demon crazy. So Maharaj Yudhisthira was always conscious of his duty as a king. What is his duty as a king? Well, it's the same as a father or a guru. So what is that? He has to see to the welfare of the citizens from all angles, not only social, political, economic, but also spiritual, upliftment. They have to be uplifted in all these ways. The king must know that human life is meant for liberating the encaged soul. We're all prisoners in this body. We cannot function properly as a spirit soul because we're under the illusion of the Daivi mana, Daivi Daivi guna, in other words, the modes of material nature or the material nature, it's impossible to overcome them. So let's see about that, because this is explained. Daivi esa gunamai mama maya duratya mam evaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. 7th chapter, 14th verse explains. Krishna, the way this is translated says, this divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome. But actually, Prabhupada said in Life Comes from Life, a Morning Walk 14, he says that Daivi Maya, not Daivi Guna, but Daivi Maya, or nature's stringent laws, are impossible to overcome. So in the verse here it says it's difficult, and I'll explain why. But actually, in other places he says it's impossible to overcome. He says that in the Renunciation Through Wisdom book on page 4. And in the Morning Walk, Life Comes from Life, and in 14, to conquer nature, birth, death, old age, and disease, the only way you can do it is by surrendering to Krishna. You cannot do it in any other way. In other words, he's saying you can try through science, through whatever, magic, through whatever, renunciation, through starving yourself to death, but you cannot escape birth, death, old age, and disease. The only way is by surrendering to Krishna. So, these are important points that unless we understand these points, we can be easily misled, because the tech companies like Google, they've invested $1 billion in trying to find a cure for death. $1 billion. And then other people like Elon Musk, he's spending billions of dollars trying to go to the space, and especially to the moon or other planets. And all these billionaires, they're hoping that when this planet falls apart due to global warming, blah, 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 they're all going to fly off in a rocket to the moon and live there. Now, this is all ridiculous stuff, but they're serious. They're serious about nonsense. They're serious about nonsense. And if we were serious about Krishna consciousness, we go back to Godhead right away, as they're serious for nonsense. So we see there are certain things that we have to understand from Bhagavad Gita in order not to be misled by all the nonsense that's out there. So, a politician, let's say a politician wanted to get your vote. So what does he say? Well, Michael Bloomberg, he said, Mike can get the job done. What does he mean by get the job done? He's talking about, fix the economy, fix global warming, fix this, fix that. He can't even fix his own nose. How is he going to fix any of these things? You see? This is all a bunch of nonsense. And Trump also, is he taking care of the spiritual upliftment of the people? Well, in some indirect ways he might be trying by going to prayer meetings of the Christians and so forth. But it's not going to work because they have incomplete knowledge of how to actually uplift people. They have some knowledge. I'm not saying they have no knowledge, but it's incomplete. I don't see any Christian militating to stop the slaughter of animals. I don't see any Christian who is, well, of course, let's give him credit. They are militating against pornography. They are militating against, or at least most of them are militating against abortion. And they are trying to find alternate ways to educate their kids rather than in public schools and so forth. So they're trying. They're doing some good things. They're not doing all bad things. But one bad thing, so let's say you follow 3 of the regulative principles, but not 4. Is that going to have a positive effect in the end? No. That's why here it says that Maharaj Yudhishthira executed the royal power in the kingdom strictly according to the codes and royal principles approved by his uncle and confirmed by Lord Sri Krishna. So you cannot attain perfection by following 3 of the 4 regulative principles, or 2 of the 4, or 1 of the 4, or none of the 4. You have to follow all 4. And here it says that he was successful because he strictly followed the principles. He strictly managed the kingdom and executed the royal power according to the codes and royal principles approved by his uncle Bhisma Pitamaha and confirmed by Lord Sri Krishna. So, have the Christians confirmed their understanding of the Bible with Lord Sri Krishna? No, they haven't. That's why there's mistakes. Have the Muslims confirmed the Quran according to with Krishna? No, they have not really confirmed it. They've confirmed it according to their gurus or their preceptors, but there's some mistakes still. Therefore, there are people who are not happy, and they're not achieving the purpose of life, that is spiritual upliftment, complete surrender to Krishna. So, the king must know that human life is meant for liberating the encaged soul from the bondage of material conditions. So when the Muslims are promising you 70 virgins in Jannat, where there's rivers of wine and beautiful gardens, they're not going to liberate the soul from engagement. You're just getting a higher level of engagement. This is the middle level, and there's a lower level of engagement. They're aiming for the higher level of engagement, but it's still engagement in a material body to enjoy the sense gratification. And the Hindus who want to go to Swarga, that's the same thing. There's no difference between the Hindus who want to go to Swarga and the Muslims who want to go to Jannat, because they describe it in a similar way. Beautiful gardens, beautiful women, and you can drink somarasa, which is a type of wine. Somarasa is a type of wine. It's not as gross as wine in this world. It's a lot more elaborate, but it's considered a type of wine. So here we have a dilemma. We have religions that are teaching millions and millions of people how to stay in the encaged body, but on a higher level. So they're being misled. Now, so are the Hindus, who believe that, Swarga is liberation. Therefore, we have a very difficult task. We have to deprogram the Muslims, the Christians, and the Buddhists. It's not going to be easy to do it. But we have some weapons that are extremely powerful, more powerful than tanks and guns and rockets and lasers and so forth. It's called Harinam Sankirtan, Mahaprasad distribution, and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. So we have Hari, we have Guru, we have Vaishnava, and Bhagavad Gita. And we have Prasadam, and we have Harinam Sankirtan. So, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? When, I say, or ask, are we actually going to do this? These are our astras, these are our weapons. Harinam Sankirtan, massive Mahaprasad distribution, and Bhagavad Gita. Well, we're trying to do it, but on a very small scale. Therefore, the result will be very small. If we do it on a massive scale, the result will be massive. So we have to get serious about this. We have to think about it and get very serious. What is success in this life? Is it having a big house, big car, big stomach? Or is it having a little house, little car, little stomach, but big Harinam Sankirtan and big Prasadam distribution and big Bhagavad Gita? So let's think about these things and make a decision in our life what direction we want to aim for and go for. Because if we aim for, you see, Prabhupada says, aim for the moon, you'll fly over the fence. Okay? But if you aim for the fence, you might end up in a rabbit hole. Right? So we should aim for the moon. Right? We should aim for the highest goal, and at least we'll jump over the fence. At least we'll jump over the fence. So we have a big, let's say, goal, and to achieve that goal, we have to make big decisions in our life and big changes in our life to achieve it. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Ki Jai. And I humbly say, everyone who at least is initiated should be here Saturday and Sunday for the whole program. Yeah. This, sleeping in on Saturday and Sunday is not an option. If you're initiated, you have to. You're obligated to be here. We're not saying every day you have to be here, but at least Saturday and Sunday you have to be here. And we should start talking to everyone. It's actually embarrassing that people can actually